Is focusing on people development a fad, or does it make business sense? Kerry Stover joined Pariveda that make people development their business model. Let's see what he has to say. Welcome to the Excellent Executive Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Katrina Berus, and today we have Kerry Stover. Kerry, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, you're an expert in a lot of things, in technology and consulting and developing people. So let's start by, how do you build a market-leading company through people development?
Well, every company has a purpose, a reason why it was formed, a reason why it exists. And yet many companies today are starting to understand the importance of different stakeholders. And you see the stakeholder movement that moves away from a shareholder interest into more around employees and the market, et cetera. But a sustainable company has to recognize that people serve at the core. You can have all the technology you want, you can have all the production you want, but you need people. And how do you engage people so that you can get the most out of them to provide the most for your company? You need to make people the center of the company. So Pariveda, my company, was formed with people at the center, a purpose to develop people to their fullest potential.
Okay, I understand the concept, and a lot of companies do say that, but you really implement it. Tell us how you implement it.
There's a level of making people the priority in your decision making. So inside our company, when we make a decision, we look at the facets of people development in every decision. Who's assigned where and what are they doing and what development are they going to get from it? Do we have anything that sits in the way of people being developed? Anything that creates contention about it? So we have equal pay for equal level. So regardless of where you are, what gender you are, what orientation, what college you graduated from, when you start with Pariveda out of school, you'll make the same amount of money adjusted for market, cost of labor in different markets. So there's no negotiating salaries. There's no favorite for working for the favorite partner, as in many consulting firms. You have the opportunity to see the salary scale published. And then for every level, we have an expectations framework that sits a talent development model that outlines across about 50 to 60 different dimensions, performance of an individual in their jobs across different capabilities. What is expected of them at a different level? It's published, it's open, it's transparent. Reviews are written against it. So people can see, hey, I'm a college hire. I want to move from a consultant 1 to consultant 2. What are the differences in expectations, and how can I start showing that? How can I talk to my mentor about, am I performing at that level? How do I talk to my project manager about, am I getting the opportunity in my role to do those things? So rather than having promotions be a secret art, science, dark arts, if you will, where only 10% of the company can be the top performers, we make it possible for everybody to be a top performer and move as fast as they can based on their own ability to perform against these public expectations. Think of how that takes out a lot of the concern and the competitiveness and the time spent wondering, is this person favored? Or is this person going to get promoted faster than I am, et cetera, just because they graduated from someone else or they're on the right project? Everybody's got the same opportunities.
Okay, so let's say that one person is much more talented and brings a lot more revenue to the company, and the other one is less, and yet you're giving them the same opportunity.
Well, everybody's got the same opportunity. The challenge would be, you said the person's more talented and brings more revenue. Well, an executive who brings a lot of revenue doesn't necessarily perform on all dimensions the same way. So a person who's great at delivery of work may not be the same as a person who's great at business development. Our model is that our clients, and we found this to be true across our history, our clients value the same person who is selling the work being in charge of delivering the work. That sets us apart and different. Our clients want a trusted advisor who not only can help them envision what they might be able to do for greater value creation, but they also want someone that's skilled in turning it into reality. So when we've had people in our firm who've been great at selling, but not great at delivery, well, we have to look and say, well, just because you sell doesn't mean that that's the complete nature of what we do with the client. You also need to be able to deliver. And sometimes that frustrates people in the sense that, well, I'm bringing all this revenue in. True, but you're not delivering it. Someone else is delivering it, and we wouldn't get it if it wasn't delivered.
Yes.
So there's a balance between the two.
So are people less specialized in certain areas? I mean, some people are more sale-oriented, some are better at implementing a project. So
there will be strengths. Some people will be better at delivery, but we don't want them to be deficient at sales if they're better at delivery, and vice versa. And we want someone who's stronger at selling, but they can't be deficient to a point where they can't execute as a delivery person.
So you develop them in a less preferred area, to say.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that they're well-rounded.
That is our goal, is to have people who are well-rounded executives that's capable of having a conversation when they get to be a VP, that they can have a conversation with the C-level executive. Most CEOs don't, outside of those in the tech industry, aren't that interested in having deep technical discussions. The discussions around technology they want to have is, how does it increase business value? So we want to have well-rounded executives across business, product, and technology as far as the dimensions of a company, and across the dimensions of consulting services from ideation through design and delivery into operations.
So I guess the personal development necessary, and in that case, I can understand it being very important, because if someone's very good in sales and they need to be better in finance, you propose an area or a job where they can develop that skill set. Is that correct? Or
that becomes part of their career development plan, that we point out areas for improvement to help them make them a better executive. And we try and get assignments aligned to that so they're able to work on it in their job.
And who in the company decides how best to develop different people?
Well, the starting point starts with the expectations framework and the fact that the mentor is writing a review against their performance, which is verbal feedback, written feedback from the people that work with the mentee. They write the review, and then that review looks at the expectations framework and says, are they performing to the expectations? So if you're a manager, a top level manager of level 3, and you want to get promoted to principal, the conversation is about, well, how are they performing? Are they performing at level? And what are we seeing of them stepping into the next level? And how do we encourage that so that we can feel confident they'll be successful as a principal? So at the end of every review, which goes through the dimensions that I mentioned, the 50 or 60, which we categorize more along the lines of personas, like how do you operate as an advisor? How do you operate as an architect? How do you operate as a player coach? We look at their performance in those areas, and then we sum it up with, here's 3 things to focus on for your next review. And if they're at level and showing that they can move into the next level, then we recommend them for promotion.
Okay.
So in that session, so after the person writes the review, it's not done. That's just the start of it. Then it goes into a quality assurance review, where for every principal, top level principal, and every vice president, myself and our CEO, Bruce Valengie, we sit in together for every person who's just one step short of being a vice president and every vice president, to listen to the comments, listen to what the mentor thinks. And we spend, hundreds of hours every year just investing in the career development plans of every vice president and all of the top level principals. And that's a commitment of senior officers to development that, we believe that that's really the heart of our organization, are the people who represent us at our clients at the top level, our vice presidents who are there negotiating what we're working on, what value we're creating, what value the client's going to get out of it. That's the heart of the company. And that's where our people learn too. So we want them to be crafting work that develops people. So all of our development is geared to creating someone who's a vice president capable of doing that kind of sales and delivery activity at clients for great value and for great work that develops people.
So how has this affected your turnover?
For many years, we were, I think, almost immune to the ups and downs of turnovers in the consulting industry because this approach to talent development really resonated, particularly with college hires coming in. The fact that you were given an open, public, transparent view of what promotions meant, that you were given the same pay as everybody else, so there wasn't any games. It was a really strong attraction for college hires to come in. When we attract vice presidents, typically we're going to find that vice presidents who are interested in variable pay based upon their sales performance are not going to be attracted to us because we pay all the vice presidents the same for whatever vice president level you are. Most of our vice presidents come to us because we pay a very good base salary, and they're getting to work on developing people. And I cannot tell you how many consulting executives I've come across over the years who are just dying to get into a company like Pariveda, where you can focus on developing people versus worrying about selling something, even if it doesn't help our people, just to get your sales numbers up. So this whole process of putting people in an open world and paying them well, 75th percentile is our target, allows us to have sort of below industry average attrition during all the way up until the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and a lot of our secret sauce, quite frankly, was the fact we hired very good people and we put them in close proximity together on clients. And in the virtual world, there was a greater detachment and a less connectedness that people felt to each other and to the firm. And so our attrition went, like everybody else's in the consulting industry, up. But now it's pretty well leveled back off, and we're down to well below market averages again. So from an attrition perspective, we do pretty well from a retention perspective.
Yes, I can imagine that people want to develop, and somebody focused on that is going to be more loyal to the company. That's my assumption anyway.
It's a true assumption. And when you have people who are committed to developing people. So many years ago, we didn't really spend a lot of money in marketing early in our days. And then somewhere around year 8 or 10, we had to get involved with Microsoft because they're a major player in the technology industry, and we do a lot of technology consulting, and they wanted to make us a preferred partner. And when they did that, they said, you're going to have someone to interact with us who's on your marketing team. And we don't have a marketing team, but we'll have one here shortly. And so we hired somebody and asked her, Cynthia Reel, to come into the firm and help develop our partner program and help develop marketing. And Cynthia, kind of did a great job getting us connected. And then she stepped into the marketing area, and she said, we need to really understand what our brand is. And so we got all executives in the room, and the conversation was along the lines of, what do our clients say about us? Because what you are is what your clients think you are. What Pariveda is what the Pariveda clients think we are. That's what they tell others we are. So we got the whiteboard, and we had about 7 whiteboards in the room. We filled it up with everything we could remember clients saying about us. Then we looked at the boards and we said, okay, so take out core values, because what consulting firm says, we lack integrity, or, we want to lose money. Like, we take all those things off. What is it about the people that make us the company like this and like the company that our clients are saying? What is it we would look for in a person to hire them, to make them get this kind of commentary? And the first thing we said was constant learner, that our clients love the fact that at every level of the company, we are always trying to learn, not just resting on what we've done before, but also out there trying to figure out what's next for ourselves, for our clients. So constant learner. What was the second thing? It was that we hired a bunch of people who wanted to coach each other. So what good is it to others if you're a constant learner, but you don't take and invest that learning in other people? And then said, this is pretty interesting. What's the third thing? And it came out givers. So we find people who, in the give or take mindset, we find that we hire people who give. And so we term the phrase, learn always, coach more, give back, as our first trademarked brand tagline. in order to represent the kind of people that we are. And then that makes us a place where clients just love our people. We're very collegial and people love joining us, and we create a great connectedness. And that helps with retention as well. And being a development company with that kind of people, we self-select in a lot of people who want to, I don't care about developing others. I just want to get promoted as fast as possible. Great. There are other firms that you need to look at for that career track because that's not ours. And we're very open to people about that.
You mentioned the mentoring system. Tell us a little bit about that.
So everybody in the company is assigned a mentor. A mentor in many worlds is self-selected. So this is not a traditional world where you think of someone who approaches someone else and say, hey, I'd like to be mentored by you. We think of it as everybody needs somebody to guide them through their career, and they should have someone who's, a few years ahead of them to help them. And that person is responsible for coaching them on a monthly basis and to write the reviews every 6 months that help them focus on their getting developed and promoted. We've trained training mechanisms for people as to what does it mean to be a mentor, how to have mentoring conversations, how to talk about promotion, how to talk about how to live out the expectations framework in project work. And it's at all levels. Now, what you can find is that the mentor has a lot of, he sort of is standoff and typically not the project manager, not the supervisor of the individual. So the person who sees them on a day-to-day basis is the supervisor. And then the supervisor then has a point of view and they bring that into the review session. And every month, the supervisor and the project manager, the mentor, they get together and have conversations to make certain that they are in sync about what's going on. So the mentor is paired with the project manager in helping get the development.
I see. Very good. So they can see it from different perspectives. And so would you suggest this approach to HR managers in different leadership companies?
I absolutely would. This is something that we've had clients asking us to teach them. Various types of career development activities, whether or not it's a consulting type firm in a different industry, or whether it's a major educational online service provider who's wondering how they better develop their talent. It's hard to just give part of what we do to a company because it's nicely integrated so that the parts support each other. So it's one thing to have an open, public, transparent expectations framework that someone can go to and see how they're getting promoted and what they have to do to get promoted, what's expected of them to be seen as performing at level. But it's another thing to have a mentor who understands that and can interpret that and live it out with them in real life to give them guidance. So these parts have to work together, and we find that more often than not, we have to bring in multiple pieces to help someone, to make the mentoring truly effective.
What about your onboarding system?
You can imagine we have a unique culture with a group that's focused on talent development. Our onboarding system is focused to help people learn the company, to learn the culture, and to experience it, within a month of joining the firm. So we have individual onboarding plans for people at all levels. So a vice president is obviously going to be different than someone who's coming in from college. But the pinnacle of the onboarding experience is the thing we call Dolphin School. Now you're going to say, why Dolphin School? Well, our dolphin is our mascot. When we were founded, Bruce Ballantyne, our CEO, wanted to have something that represented the characteristics of the people that we hire. And he grew up on the Gulf Coast down in Corpus Christi and would often be sitting on the beach and watching dolphins kind of in their pods, navigating in the Gulf of Mexico and jumping in and out of the water. And he has great affinity for them. And he also sees them as one of the most human-like mammals that exist. Dolphins work together in pods. They travel together. They communicate with each other. They protect each other. They go to rescue humans that are being attacked by sharks. There's a lot of characteristics of that. And so we bring people together as they join the firm into Dolphin School, which is a week together of orientation. But it has very little to do with How do you fill out a timesheet? How do you write a proposal? There's nothing like that in there. It's how do you learn how to understand each other? We have different things, what we call the whole brain methodology, HBDI, and we teach that. The predictive index personality traits, we teach that. We teach a course for personal finance to college hires so that they're getting into the workforce, and likely nobody is talking to them about how to start saving, how to look at your 401k. And so we don't talk about it as here's something you're given, but we talk about it as here's a mindset that you might want to enter into to be a saver of these things that you're getting now that will add, the power of, compound interest over time starting at an early age. So Dolphin School is the pinnacle experience where people come together and work through the culture with each other and learn us.
Okay, so they learn more about themselves, about others, and the culture of the company. What would you say the culture of your company is, if you had to describe it?
Collegial learners who are actually curious is another key aspect of it, because what we want our people to be who are kind of learners, who are curious, go after something, and try and bring value back to others. Our core energy exists around when somebody in the firm at any level working at a client thinks about and sees an opportunity where something could be better and curiously explores it and then brings that back to the client as an opportunity for improving the company's business. Success in delivering that creates this bond between the individual and their client about, hey, you're looking out for me, you're making me better. And that inspires that fin, we call our employees fins for short for dolphin, inspires that fin to go look for more and do more. And so that's the culture that we have, is we're extreme group of curious people who are interested in making things better, making each other better, making the world better.
Very good. We're unfortunately coming to the end of our podcast. So what would you say would be the benefits of a C-suite executive grooming members of their teams to be better than them?
That's a given in our firm. If you want to get promoted, the best thing you can do is to build your successor. And actually, by the law of averages, you're building two of your successors, because they will make you better by having great people working for you. They'll make you more able to be lifted into newer levels of accountability and authority when a company can see that others are ready to step into your place, and they'll know that you'll be able to do that again at the new level. So if you're in a role and you have authority and you see another level you'd like to get to, our recommendation is build your successors, build two of them so that in case one leaves, you still got another one ready to go.
Well, that's good advice. So where can people get a hold of you?
Find me on LinkedIn at Kerry Stover. You can reach me at Pariveda at Kerry.Stover@ParivedaSolutions.com. You can find me on, kind of hard to find on the social medias because I don't go there very much.
Okay, but LinkedIn and on your website, that's good enough.
That's it.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience.
Well, Katrina, thank you for having me on, and I hope everyone who hears this, I've added to your life in some way. Thank you for the pleasure of being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Excellent Executive Coaching Podcast. You can subscribe to all future podcasts at excellentexecutivecoaching.com. Join us each Wednesday to learn more about the latest trends in leadership techniques and bring your coaching to the next level. To learn more about Dr. Burris's CEO Mastermind, use the contact form at excellentexecutivecoaching.com.